to the final award of the evening. To present it, I'm pleased to introduce our current Chiropractor of the Year, Dr. Deborah Kopensky-Giles.
What a gorgeous evening tonight. Isn't it wonderful to celebrate all this? Well, I'm thrilled to be here to be able to present a very, very important award for chiropractors in Canada, but in Ontario especially. For more than 60 years, this award has been presented annually to honor the significant contribution and real personal sacrifice of one of our members for the benefit of our profession in Ontario. The 2014 Chiropractor of the Year has been a champion of our profession for decades. This chiropractor has been in practice for over 30 years and is a fellow of the Canadian Chiropractic Society Specialty College of Physical and Occupational Rehabilitation, in addition to having provided expert opinion in over 6,000 legal cases over the past 2 decades. This chiropractor has devoted countless hours to committees and boards at local, provincial, and federal levels, including with the Ontario Chiropractic Association, the Canadian Chiropractic Association, and the Canadian Chiropractic Research Foundation. His current committee work has been particularly instrumental, and now I'm going to give it away a little bit, to improving access to chiropractic services for members of the Canadian Armed Forces. In September 2013, he was appointed to represent the Canadian Chiropractic Association and the profession at the Canadian Forces Expert Panel on Low Back Pain. Phenomenal. In just over a week of consultations, he was instrumental in establishing the role and the unique value of chiropractic care for Armed Forces personnel. He went on to present the Care for a National Model MSK strategy for the Canadian Armed Forces at the Standing Committee on National Defence in 2013, and that's a brilliant accomplishment. As a result of this work, there are CCA-supported pilot projects now in development that will see chiropractors integrated into the team that cares for the men and women who protect and defend our nation at home and abroad. On a personal note, I've known this chiropractor for over 25 years, and I'm absolutely thrilled for him to receive this recognition from our profession. He has worked tirelessly for patients, for his community, both in Canada and abroad, and his profession for 3 decades. It gives me immense pleasure to announce that this year's Chiropractor of the Year is Dr. Eric Jackson. Please take a look.
I've been observing lots of different clinics as much as I can over the time I was studying and since I've been out for many years now. And every clinic I go to is always different.
Many of the patients that I've seen here and that are some of Dr. Jackson from time to time comment on the atmosphere in our clinic here. They say it's different. It's not like anywhere else, no other office.
But when I first came here and started meeting some of the patients, I was absolutely dumbfounded by the amount of lovely patients he has that have been coming here for many, many, many years, and they all can't speak highly enough of him, which is remarkable.
People have been changed dramatically in a physical way, and I know I've had a number of people that I've known that have come to him, and they're much better physically as a result of that.
From the chiropractic point of view, he's an excellent clinician and really top diagnostician. And so he's helped people physically, many of them miraculously, I think. When they come in, that's the way they talk.
I believe his greatest contribution to the profession is working as a team with other health professionals throughout our life. From the relationships that he's built and developed with other physios, GPs, chiros, massage therapists, but truly giving patients the best care with a multidisciplinary approach has been fantastic.
He helped me a lot in showing me and modeling and mentoring me in chiropractic technique as well.
And he's really helped, I believe, a lot of young chiros coming through with the contacts that he's created and breaking down some barriers for the chiros have faced throughout the years.
The members of these different associations have really appreciated his wisdom and his expertise as a chiropractor. He's, I think, someone who is well respected and looked up to.
Well, he's been very much involved in our political wing of chiropractic with the OCA and as well as locally here.
He wants to serve, he wants to help chiropractors in the chiropractic profession.
From the work that he's done when he was raising his children on going on missions overseas to the work he's done with the local governments and the Canadian Parliament in terms of helping out the servicemen of the country is spectacular.
So I think his contribution to chiropractic through representing our profession on a level like that with the Department of National Defense is the biggest contribution. That just happened this past year.
Ever since meeting Dr. Jackson and having him describe to me what it was like and then experiencing from it firsthand, it's made me realize that your professional and personal life are a lot more intertwined than what you may think.
I like the way he practiced. I liked his personal ethics and his professional ethics.
Whether it's running into patients on the street or having a chat to them because you saw them at the game whilst you're treating them. It makes you appreciate the relationships you have with the patients and being able to help them benefit their lives as well, all at the same time, which is fantastic.
In addition to these wonderful video testimonials, I'm going to call Alison Dantas up to give some words of congratulations from the Canadian Chiropractic Association.
I really do want to take just a few moments. Some of it might be repetitive to say a thank you and a hearty congratulations to Dr. Jackson and his family. It's my honor to offer congratulations for the award of the OCA Chiropractor of the Year and to speak of his incredible and meaningful contributions to the chiropractic profession. It's been a pleasure for my team and I to have had the opportunity to work with Dr. Jackson very closely over the last number of years on several national government relations initiatives with the RCMP, the Department of National Defense, and the Canadian Forces. Dr. Jackson is so talented at driving home key strategic messages in a way that opens up dialogue and invites collaboration and problem solving. I won't go into all the details because Deb covered that so eloquently, but I do want to say that his exceptional representation of the profession as a presenter at the Standing Committee on National Defense just this past year was profound for the profession. Even when faced with adversity, he tenaciously presented the case of why chiropractors are MSK experts and why the department should consider initiating an MSK strategy for the country to address the needs of veterans and active soldiers. Without a doubt, Dr. Jackson's involvement and support of our national advocacy efforts culminated in a strong recommendation by the Standing Committee on National Defense in support of an MSK strategy nationally, and a recent response by the federal government that endorses this recommendation. His dedication to the profession serves as an example for us all. There are significant personal hours dedicated to prepare for this work. When approached Dr. Jackson almost 2 years ago to help us out, he didn't hesitate. He jumped right in, he accepted, and he continues to offer us support, insight, and advice. Dr. Jackson, on behalf of the CCA board, staff, and membership, a big thank you for your significant personal contribution to the national advocacy strategies that we have pursued together and been successful at achieving. Your dedication, perseverance, and gentle but firm approach has helped us move mountains, and you greatly deserve recognition for all you have done. Congratulations on winning the Chiropractor of the Year. Your achievements are commendable. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Alison. And the beauty of it is that we're actually just getting started. Our profession, we're really getting started. And Eric's a brilliant example of years in the trenches, doing work, consistently being there, serving patients, serving the community, giving the right messages and building bridges. So, unfortunately, Dr. Jackson is not able to be here tonight. He's out of the country at a family function. And, but we're really happy to have his son Matthew here, who will accept the award on his behalf. Matthew, come on up.
Don't worry, it's double spaced. This is a little low. It's a great honor for my youngest sister Rachel and I to be here on behalf of our father. While he was bowled over to learn the news that he'd be receiving this award, those of us who know him well weren't surprised at all. His passion for chiropractic is as big as his personality, which is to say it's pretty huge. He's unable to accept this award himself as he's attending my cousin's wedding in the Dominican Republic. But family, faith in God, and chiropractic are the three pillars of his life. He's asked me to step in today and pull back the curtain a little bit on the man that my youngest sister, who's joined me tonight, Rachel, affectionately refers to as Crazy Eyes. Rest assured that the anecdotes I'm going to share with you have all been cleared with him, so feel free to enjoy them guilt-free. Dad always loved a challenge. One of my favorite stories from his youth involves a dare from a friend as they walked home from school. "I bet you can't throw this stone across the road," his friend said, presenting him with a small boulder. Not one to back down, Dad took this substantial piece of the Canadian shield and hurled it through the air with all his might. Predictably, the rock made it about halfway across the road. Less predictably, that particular section of road happened to be occupied by a vehicle. Even less predictably still, that vehicle was driven by his school teacher, who identified your future Ontario Chiropractor of the Year fleeing the scene. Speaking of challenges, chiropractic is often about problem solving. I'm sure you've all faced a patient whose symptoms forced you to get creative with your treatment and think outside the box. This was one of my father's many skills as a practitioner, and one he brought with him everywhere he went. For instance, when I was in junior high school, he chaperoned a school trip that my sister Becky and I took to Quebec City. I'm sure he was shocked to learn that not all our peers were as well behaved as we. For example, one group of 7th grade boys refused to respect the 10 p.m. lights out policy, and Dr. J found himself returning time and time again to their room, imploring them to be quiet and to turn their lights off. On the 4th or 5th trip, he'd had enough. But how do you make sure a group of nocturnal 12-year-old boys don't simply turn the light back on as soon as you leave the room? Well, it's simple. You unscrew all the light bulbs from their room and you take them with you. Chiropractic is also about working with your hands. This too was a characteristic of my father that poured into our home life. Dad loved his power tools and often used them to help our neighbors. He feels this is the best way to show God's love to others is through your actions rather than your words. So imagine his delight when he was able to marry this philosophy with a chainsaw and help our elderly neighbor cut down a massive tree that was threatening her roof. Dutiful son that I am, I joined him and he taught me how to cut a notch in the tree so that it falls away from the home, sparing the roof. And fall away from the house it did, right onto the power lines that ran along our street. Incredibly, it bounced off the wires and landed safely across our lawn and hers. The wires hung a little bit lower along her property but stayed intact. How can faith not grow in the presence of miracles? Growing up, I always knew my dad was great at what he does. He never advertised his practice, rather he relied on referrals from his patients, knowing that their recommendations would carry weight that any promotional campaign never could. His practice flourished. He had so many patients that I can't remember taking a vacation, be it domestic or international, where we didn't run into at least one. All 4 of his kids had our first jobs working at Wellness House. My middle sister Hannah even managed to negotiate a raise while working there as a receptionist during high school. $13 an hour was pretty good in the mid-2000s. We saw firsthand how much he cared for his patients and how much they loved him back. I learned a lot from him. For example, the haircut that flatters our hairline. That a mustache needs to be carefully maintained. I also learned to never stop learning. Growing up, I saw a man who was dedicated to his own professional development. At that time, I thought that regularly attending seminars, taking classes outside of work, and studying at home was normal. I look back now and wonder how he ever had the energy to do it all. I'm sure he was tired, but he did it because he cares about the work, and he wanted to do the best that he could for the patients that he had the privilege of serving. By recognizing him with this award today, I want to thank you for letting me know that he did. I'll close with a few words that my father's asked me to share with you. After 31 years of practice, I recognize my path was chosen for me. I've been blessed with a loving and supportive wife full of wisdom and great mercy. Together, we've raised 4 children who have grown, left the house, started families of their own, and are making wise decisions. I've also been given good parents who taught me the value of a lifetime of commitment, mentors who shaped how I think and work, and partners who came alongside and encouraged me on the journey. I've also had patients who fill my workday with the opportunity to share all the gifts that God has so graciously given me. Thank you for this prestigious honor and the opportunity to share this evening with you.
So for those of you who don't know Eric, don't actually know what a spitting image man is. I was sitting here looking across here saying, I thought Eric couldn't get here tonight. He is a wonderful chiropractor who has done an awful lot for us. So, thanks to everyone who made this evening possible, and that is first and foremost the people who were nominated for awards and the people who were the nominees of those people. So it's the example of people like you that is moving this profession forward, and by gosh, we really are moving forward these days. To the awards committee, thank you for all of the work that you did to help put tonight together, and also to the tremendous OCA staff that I get to work with every day, who put this evening together and do work so hard on your behalf all throughout the year. So thank you to the OCA staff.